when the Trump administration says that they're sending the worst of the worst there, why are they sending people with no criminal records?
Well, listen, first of all, when I was in the state Senate, we had a ICE detention facility in my district. I was involved with several aspects of the different things that have to be done and the grants that were required and the upgrades that had. Every federal detention facility, every one of them, goes through these same exact stringent requirements. These people are getting 3 hots in a cot. They're not being abused or not being tortured. They're getting better conditions than I had when my team lived in Afghanistan. And so the reality is the idea that they are somehow being abused as people, having their humanity stripped from them, is a misnomer. I reject that. I haven't been to that one yet, but I've been to them before. I do not have to walk in the door to know what the requirements are for the federal.
An abomination.
According to the reality,
I talked to some of the members of Congress who went down there.
Let me just read.
Absolutely necessary.
Look, let me say one thing. First, the Trump administration says what you're saying. Okay, that's the official line. But the lawmakers who visited say other things. Here is one Venezuelan detainee who spoke to the Associated Press and said, "The conditions in which we are living are inhuman," said the detainee from the facility. "My main concern is the psychological pressure that they are putting on people to sign their self-deportation." The man, who asked not to be identified for fear of reprisals, characterized the cells as zoo cages with 8 beds each, teeming with mosquitoes, crickets, and frogs. He says they're locked up 24 hours a day with no windows, no way to know the time. There have also been reports that the lights are on 24 hours a day, people can't sleep. And the implication here is that they want to create conditions that are so unpleasant that rather than be deported through a process, people just sign away their rights and get sent on a plane and go.
Abby, I'm actually horrified by what you just described, but I want to attach the biggest, because I think due process is a human right. I think that these are basic elements. Everyone should be treated with dignity in federal detention, but it's the biggest, if true, ever, because we need to actually verify this. I'm actually seeking to see if I can go this week. I live in Florida, and I'd like to report there myself. The Democratic lawmakers, you have on one hand the Trump administration officials saying it's fine, it's up to par. On the other hand, these Democrats, I don't really believe anything they say when it comes to Trump. I've had Democrats tell me that net neutrality would end the internet. I've had members of Congress, Ayanna Pressley, many others, say that Trump was bringing back segregation, verbatim say that. So the credibility in the bank, I want some independent verification of what's going on in this facility.
They should let the media in.
I agree.
They should absolutely let the media in. Why aren't they letting the media in? Don't you think that there's a reason for that?
They have let some reporters in.
You can
they
see
did a whole
pictures
walkthrough.
you can see pictures that show what Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the congresswoman, and Maxwell Frost, the congressman from Florida, are saying, which is that there's 32 beds in a small area, that there's 3 toilets. Those are things that are easily verifiable. Look.
Can I just ask one quick question? If this is supposed to be such a pleasant place, why did they bother to call it Alligator Alcatraz? Why did they bother to put it where it is? Like, I'm not understanding. It doesn't
A lot of what's happening
fit.
on immigration is performative cruelty as part of a strategy, whether it's sending people to a gulag in El Salvador, whether it's deporting people to places like Sudan that have no ties to Sudan, where there is a civil war going on, whether it's using military uniform, aircraft, whether it's this Alligator Alcatraz. It's about scaring people. But, Donald Trump's numbers, approval numbers on immigration have gone down dramatically. And I think part of it is because the American people voted for criminals and gang members to be deported and to be prosecuted and to be gotten rid of. I agree with that. And what they are seeing is that it's legal permanent residents. What they are seeing is that it's mothers and fathers and children and teenagers and people who play with their kids at a school and people who work at farms that then we eat the food.
But Trump did promise to do exactly that.
He promised to do exactly that.
Was. I didn't support it, but he never said, or he may have said it a few times, but his actual platform was always mass deportation, not just the criminals. So when people say, I didn't vote for this, you actually kind of did.
Well, I guess
I think
you're right that he campaigned on mass deportations, but if you also listen to those rallies, he repeated ad nauseum, that these were the worst of the worst, the criminals, that they had cleared out their insane asylums, which he seems to think
jails
was the same thing as
Yeah.
asylum. Let me just read one more thing, and Phil, I promise I'll let you in, and then I'll let you haven't spoken at all. So an immigration attorney, Kate Blankenship, said she was turned away after traveling to the remote facility, waiting for hours to speak with clients, including a 15-year-old Mexican boy with no criminal charges. Her client, Arroyo's client, another attorney, is a 36-year-old Mexican man who came to the U.S. as a child, has been at the detention center since July 5th after being picked up for driving with a suspended license. Another attorney, Ige, has been seeking the release of a client in his 50s with no criminal record and a stay of removal, meaning the government cannot legally deport him while he appeals. So many people, it seems, are there. Some of them are in a process. Some of them were out here as children and are being sort of pushed into saying, sign away my rights, send me back somewhere.
So several things. One is the self-deportation is actually, I mean, they're paying each one $1,000 and sending them with a free plane ticket. So self-deportation is really not a scary thing. But the reality is
I don't think that's the point. I think the point is, like,
that is the point.
people
because
have
a moment ago,
lives here.
self-deportation
Maybe some of them are
no,
trying
a
to
moment
appeal
ago, the left side of
their
the table
status,
was
et cetera.
portraying somehow
Yeah.
that the self-deportation was somehow weighing in hard and pressing down on people. It's like saying, hey, if you'll do it this way, we'll even pay you to go. How awesome is that? Here's a free ticket and a flight home.
Hold on, Phil, but
But
just
the
to be-
reality is we
I mean,
also
but
voted for the
just to be
numbers at the
awesome-
border.
Just to be honest, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but just remember, we're talking about human beings here.
We are.
Okay, some of them have families, they have jobs,
We're
they
also
have
talking about
communities.
the rule of law.
I get that too, but I'm just saying the way you're describing it, it's like just get on a plane and here's $1,000. I mean, it's these are people that we're talking about. We're not talking about,
exactly
you know.
where
If you
they
put it in
can be tortured.
context, Barack Obama utilized detention centers.
like this.
George H.W. Bush used detention centers. George W. Bush used detention centers. Ronald Reagan used
The
detention centers.
existence of detention centers is
This
not
has
in
been a
dispute
norm,
here.
and to me, it seems like this is the best way to facilitate removing people who have violated our immigration laws or in our country illegally to send them back home. Now, I would agree with Anna that we shouldn't send people to places where they have no family origin at all. That just makes zero sense to me. But we should absolutely send people back to their country of origin and say there's a process to enter into the United States and you must follow that process. We cannot be a country that just allows people to come whenever they want. That just doesn't make
understand
sense.
something. Some of these people aren't here. A lot of these
Right.
people that are
Yeah.
being,
Right.
a lot of the
That's
people
exactly
that are being held are not here illegally, because if you're a legal permanent resident who's being detained because of some traffic issue or because you got caught with weed 20 years ago, you have been here legally as a legal permanent resident. If you have been here under temporary protective status, that is status. If you
This is
came in
egregious.
to the country with a parole, you were paroled legally into this country. And so they're making them illegal. They're making
All right,
them
we have-
undocumented.